Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Thursday the 12th of December. So lots going on today. We have we had yesterday the Fed meeting, which pretty much as expected left things alone and also kept mainly to the same sort of tune. The dot plot, which is well looked for, suggested that most of 2020 or all of 2020 would not see any increases or decreases to the rates. At this stage, so pretty much as expected there as well. One thing they did wave up there for us to watch for, and it will be the key thing that they're looking for, is wage gains. Would be a key signal of any growth there. So, and obviously quite the opposite. So if it starts dropping down there, they'll be a bit more worried. But if we see wage gains, that's a sign they're looking for. So there you go, that's what they were looking for. Got a month to wait for those now, pretty much. So that's the Fed stuff. Now we've seen the pound, the euro fly up on the back of that information. Well, I'm not too sure why. Fundamentally, well, we'll find out later today. We've got the ECB meeting that's coming out, which I can't. Their hands are tied. They can't really do too much. I think they're in a tough old place there. So we'll see what happens there. At the moment, I'm relatively bearish fundamentally of the euro dollar. Technically, well, it could push up here towards its 200 moving average. It's almost there. It'd almost be nice if it did, because if it then fell from there, you could say go back technically afterwards and say it's nothing to do with the ECB or anything. It's just fallen off its 200. But regardless, the guard's on for a hard one, I think. I mean, she may be more able to convince the countries that are involved in the single currency that they do need to actually spend a bit more and stimulate the economy accordingly. Alright, okay, so euro overheld here in my fundamentally, technically may still have some upside. Overbought on my signal here, 4-hourly signal really comes up on the euro here on a 4-hourly basis. It has come up overbought, so maybe just it'll get back to the sort of mean that may be below here. The daily pivots below. We'll see how it works out today. Personally, I'm bearish on this at some stage. Technically, well, sorry, I'm looking at money flow here, which I was looking at money flow last night to see there was good money running into these highs here at the time. Since then, well, money flow is a derivative of the RSI and volume put in together. And well, you see with the RSI there, bit of divergence with the newer highs coming through there. They made a new high. Ooh, maybe it didn't make new highs. Okay, bit of a iffy movement there. But personally, I'm just waiting for the signal to sell. Just about, and it's possibly not quite there yet. But we'll see how this morning runs. But I'm looking for sell signals. Okay, that's the euro and sell signals. Well, you could be playing back to the daily pivot. You could be looking for it to come all the way back to where it was before the news came out yesterday, 1085 sort of area, maybe even more. I'll just see how today goes, but I'm pretty bearish there. Okay, the pound, it's got its own details coming out today, tomorrow. We've got the parliamentary elections now. There's a priced-in idea that the Conservatives will win with a majority. Okay, the polls are showing that at the moment, but the majority has been getting thinner and thinner, and there's always a risk with these polls that they're completely wrong. We've seen it before, and I think there may be a relief rally, but that won't come through until tomorrow morning, early hours of tomorrow morning, probably, if there is one. If Corbyn was to win, the opposition were to win, the main opposition, or to have an opportunity to put together a parliament as such, I think the the pound will probably dive 300 or 400 pips, if not more. It could be quite disastrous for the pound. Not looking forward to that, but may just go to bed and leave a couple of stops somewhere a bit lower with the idea of catching Corbyn's fallout. Okay, but at the moment, as I say, things are pretty much priced in on a conservative win into these markets, hence why they've been pushing up there and holding up there. Coming down the time frames here for cable in the short term, where it too is, it's done better against the American dollar yesterday, and it's pushed up this morning. Actually, it has actually properly diverged there with between the two highs. Again, I think with the uncertainty, it might come off a little bit fundamentally. Technically, also, if it breaks the lows here, it's put a lower high in, and we could see it edge towards that daily pivot, just on the unknown territory. So potential to come down towards that area. We'll see as things progress during the day. But as I said, the real polling, the real answers won't be known until tomorrow, early hours of tomorrow. I say early hours, but probably about 3 or 4 o'clock. Dollar yen is amazing here. Actually, it's just consolidating there. I was looking at it on the shorter time frame, and it's actually whilst the pound and the euro have been popping up there quite strongly. I don't know, perhaps it's risk back on, and the money's going back into risk, and it's coming out of the yen. Possibly that's what's going on. But we're seeing this sort of push back up, and people are moving their money. Look, here we go, and the yen softened against the US dollar. So maybe a sign of things to come on the pound and euro. Or this may, if it breaks its trend lines here, the support levels here may be even sort of safer through that. If it breaks that 30-minute 21, it could be back on for new lows. It is certainly a safety currency, so if anything odd goes on, that's where the money will start looking to go. Okay, aside of that, I'm just going to, sorry, this is a 30-minute chart. Let me just put this into a 60, just give you a bit more data. I don't really need to see too much. The Aussie had a firm old day yesterday. It may follow through today, but to me it looks like it's struggling to get in or do too much here. It might push up this morning. If it does, well, so be it. But that too could be a trend line across the lows here, a play back towards the daily pivot, maybe more. I'm not convinced at the moment fundamentally there's any reason for this, and again we're showing an overbought signal sitting there. So that's the Aussie dollar. Finally, Canadian dollar, he says. So the Canadian dollar did well from that news as well. I don't know why. As I say, with a lot of these, the news was not bad from the Fed, and I'm sort of scratching my head here to think, well, okay, what time did this go off? This actually ran off from a bit earlier in the day there, so it's really sort of generated a bit earlier. But either way, there's possibly not quite as dovish as people expected last time on the CAD, but I think we could see further upside here at some point. It's just trading pretty much in range. It may be, yeah. We'll see how this runs out. If it breaks the lows there, technically it's put a lower high in, and we could see further downside, but it's in a bit of a near-term range anyway. Okay, Canadian dollar, and finally just a quick look at the New Zealand dollar from a daily perspective, because there's no need else. Still looking to continue holding the long on this. It's a position, but it's pushed up quite nicely yesterday. It certainly helped bullish engulfing. May struggle a little bit as we progress a little bit here, but still looking healthy. Okay, that's pretty much it. So just remember key timings today. Well, there is a Swiss National Bank press conference at 9 o'clock, but the more important ones are really at 12:45. We've got the European financial rate and a policy statement, but 1:30 we'll have Lagarde speaking at the press conference. Side of that, we've got Bank of Canada governor speaking at 5:30 p.m. The speech would come out at that 5:30, I believe. He actually starts talking 15 minutes later. Right, okay, and then 10 o'clock we'll start getting at 10 p.m. That is, we'll start getting some exit polls, and probably get some exit polls before then, but the more significant ones come in at 10 o'clock. and then really it's going to be tomorrow early hours before we see anything on the really on the pound there. I say on the pound, but the UK parliamentary elections. I wish you a great day. Bye.